Cooper Kupp is a much better receiver than Davante Adams. Let me tell you why. In this video, I'm going to be going over why I think Cooper Kupp is a better wide receiver than Davante Adams. And before you dislike the video, I'd just like to ask you guys to hear me out until the end of the video. And if you still want to do that, then at that point you can do it. But I believe that I make a strong case, and I believe Cooper Kupp is the best wide receiver in the NFL. So Cooper Kupp obviously had a standout season last year, and no one really thought that he would have the success that he did. Now Davante Adams, on the other hand, came into the year as by far the best wide receiver. If you play fantasy, you would know that Davante Adams was the first wide receiver off the board in pretty much every single draft that you did, and by a very wide margin, really one of the only receivers being considered in the first round of drafts. But this isn't a fantasy football video. This is purely from a receiver standpoint video. So I'm going to be going over why I think Cooper Kupp is a better wide receiver than Davante Adams. And you might say recency bias. Well, first of all, I do agree that recency bias can have an effect on what I'm going to be talking about in this video. And you have to understand, I'm a Rams fan. I've liked Cooper Kupp since he came into the league. Before this, I thought he was about a top 10 to 12 wide receiver in the league, and that's where I drafted him in all my fantasy drafts, and that's where I thought he about stood before going into the season. After this body of work that he has put out, even if he has a considerable decline, he's still going to be a top 3 receiver in the league very easily. So I'm going to be going over all of that in this video. Make sure you guys watch until the end. But yeah, I want to first start out on PFF.com. So before we even get into the statistics, let's go into the advanced statistics that PFF gives. Now, a lot of people like to say, hey, you can't rely solely on PFF statistics to talk about a receiver, and I totally agree. And we're going to be talking about the intangibles of the receivers as well. But Cooper Kupp is currently ranked the #1 wide receiver in the league with a 93 rating, about 0.3 more than Davante Adams. Not too much separating the two. However, this is the really big thing, is Cooper Kupp is an all-around receiver. He can go in at the slot, he can be the #1 receiver on the outside, and he can also run block. You can see Davante Adams has barely any run blocking score, while Cooper Kupp has an 81 run blocking score. Cooper Kupp quite literally does it all. Now, a wide receiver is involved in so many different ways in every single play in an NFL game, and Cooper Kupp really does it at the highest level at pretty much everywhere he is. Now, he might not be as big and as athletic as Davante Adams, and he's not. Davante Adams is the much better specimen. He's the much better player in general. However, Cooper Kupp is just such a grinder, and he does everything perfectly. It's like as soon as Matthew Stafford came there and really understood what Cooper Kupp was doing, the two just meshed really well together. And we're going to be talking about the quarterbacks as well, because that does play a very big factor in how good these two wide receivers will do this year. But I just think Cooper Kupp is very on par with Davante Adams, especially in terms of what you're going to get in production, and then and just receiving. And then run blocking, Cooper Kupp is the much better run blocker. He is involved in every single play, and he really cares about his team. It's very cool to see how much success Cooper Kupp has had, even when he wasn't getting the ball, he was still helping out his team as much as he could. But yeah, so Cooper Kupp slightly better than Davante Adams. Now let's get into the statistics. You can see here, Cooper Kupp was #1 in targets, receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. Now, I believe Davante Adams did have more receiving touchdowns than Cooper Kupp in the previous year. However, this year, Cooper Kupp was the first in terms of receiving touchdowns, first in receiving yards, very close to breaking Calvin Johnson's record, even though we had an extra game this year. And then first in receptions, he had the triple crown, and it was a very impressive season. Now, in terms of Davante Adams, very impressive here as well. He had the second most targets, second most receptions, third most receiving yards, and fifth most receiving touchdowns. Now, last year, I believe he had about 18 receiving touchdowns, and this was kind of like a off year in terms of receiving touchdowns, and that's good for fifth in the league. So statistically, even though Cooper Kupp is better, I would assume that next year they are very neck and neck in terms of who's going to be the #1 person in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. And this last year, here, Cooper Kupp gets the nod. Before that, Davante Adams was always getting the nod, obviously. Now I want to talk about the quarterback. So the quarterback situation is pretty interesting. If you ask a Rams fan, you might think that Matthew Stafford is a little bit better of a quarterback. However, if you ask pretty much any NFL fan, it's most likely going to be that Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback. He is the reigning MVP, I believe 2 years in a row. I might be tripping. Anyways, I don't know why I can't remember who's the MVP the past 2 years. I believe it was just Aaron Rodgers. But anyways, Aaron Rodgers is currently the fifth quarterback in terms of PFF's grade, and Matthew Stafford is currently number 7, separated by about 3 points in PFF's scale. When you look at Aaron Rodgers, just overall career, he has done it for longer, and he has done it at a high level and been at MVP level for so long. Matthew Stafford also having a very great career, but really just having his breakout year this year, and even his breakout year is still good for 7th. Now, I think Aaron Rodgers is most likely the better quarterback, and that really lends to Davante Adams' favor. Just considering Davante Adams had the better quarterback and still didn't produce as much as Cooper Kupp, that's something that you need to take into consideration. Now, I want to go over kind of my final thoughts. Basically, I think Cooper Kupp is a better receiver because he had a slightly, and I'm saying slightly, worse quarterback. This season was up and down for the Rams. We were a wild card team, barely. Obviously, we're always going to be in the playoffs. However, at one point we were second. We took a slide by the end of the year, and Cooper Kupp continually produced. I don't see Cooper Kupp's production going down over the next year. It could go down a little bit. However, I don't think that his production will be drastically different. And I think Davante Adams could see a decline in his production, considering he's going from Aaron Rodgers to Derek Carr. Now, Derek Carr is a good quarterback. I don't want to say he's not. He's probably in that top 10 to 12 range. However, he is not Aaron Rodgers. He is not going to be an MVP. I know he did play at an MVP level one season, and this will definitely help, and they will do well together. But Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback. So I just see Cooper Kupp as the more complete player in terms of production. He's always going to be on par with Davante Adams, and he just does everything else well as well. So that's why I see Cooper Kupp as the better player. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you think Davante Adams is better? Let me know. But yeah, it's pretty much going to be it. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe if you guys like the video, and comment down below your thoughts down below. Other than that, I'm Zach with the Rams fan. See you later.